What Senate Bill 1550 does is simply says that in every public school classroom in the state of Texas, there shall be posted a copy of the Ten Commandments. It prescribes the exact same language for the Ten Commandments, which is on our own Capitol grounds and which has been approved by the Texas and the U.S. Supreme Courts. And also, if you go to the U.S. Supreme Court, you'll also notice when you walk in, as an establishment of its role in law and liberty, the Ten Commandments is posted above the justices and on the doors. This is American tradition. If schools in Texas do not have it in their funding to do that, they can't accept private dollars for this. And with that, I would move suspension.
Secretary will call the roll.
Alvarado, Betcourt, Birdwell, Blanco, Campbell, Creighton, Eckhart, Flores, Gutierrez.
There's 17 ayes and 12 no votes. Chair now lays out on, rules are suspended. Chair lays out on second reading, Senate Bill 1515. Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 1515 relating to the display of the Ten Commandments in public schools.
You're recognized on passage to engrossment.
So moved.
Secretary will call the roll.
Alvarado, Bettencourt, Birdwell, Blanco, Campbell, Creighton.
17 ayes for the bill, 12 votes against. We'll hold it engrossment.
These are Texas Republicans in the state Senate passing a bill requiring public schools to prominently display the Bible's Ten Commandments in every public school classroom in the state. The Texas State Senate also just passed a bill that would allow public and charter schools to adopt a policy requiring every campus to set aside time for students to pray and study the Bible. According to Republican State Senator Phil King in this clip, this is totally normal and part of American tradition, except it is literally the exact opposite of American tradition. Here are what some traditional figures in American history had to say about the separation of church and state. John Adams said in one of the first treaties America ever signed, the government of the United States is not in any sense founded upon the Christian religion. Thomas Jefferson said Christianity neither is nor ever was part of the common law. James Madison said, the purpose of separation of church and state is to keep forever from these shores the ceaseless strife that has soaked the soil of Europe with blood for centuries. Ulysses S. Grant said, leave the matter of religion to the family altar, the church and the private school, supported entirely by private contributions, keep the church and state forever separate. In other words, this was the entire point of America, separating church and state. So no, forcing your religious text to be displayed in public school classrooms is not American tradition, it is outright Christo-fascism. And it's not just quotes from major figures in American history. This has been settled law for decades, if not centuries in this country. The Constitution's Establishment Clause says Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. The Supreme Court ruled in 1947 that this Establishment Clause applies not only to the federal government, but also to all states, including Texas. In 1962, the Supreme Court struck down forced prayers in public schools on the grounds of separation of church and state. So again, the only American tradition here is ruling after ruling that what these Texas Republicans are doing is outright unconstitutional. There's also something called the Lemon Test that the Supreme Court established in 1971, which requires 3 conditions to determine the legality of religious practices in school. First, the legislature must have adopted the law with a neutral or non-religious purpose, and requiring the Ten Commandments be shown prominently in the classroom with no other religious text requirements is obviously not a neutral law. Second, the state's principal or primary effect must be one that neither advances nor inhibits religion. This is obviously intended to advance Christianity in this sense. And third, the statute must not result in an excessive entanglement of government with religion. I don't think you can get more entangled than religious zealots in the government forcing their religion on every public school student in the state. So this violates all 3 requirements of the Lemon Test. It's like the illegality is the point. And in a way, it is, considering the entire goal of this bill is not only to force their religion on Texas students, it's also designed to be challenged in court in order to go up to the Supreme Court, which is now stacked with Republicans' hand-picked extremists. This is all part of a strategy to dismantle constitutional precedent and pave the way for even more laws that would then force their religious beliefs on all Americans. This is all very clearly part of a pattern. And this was the same idea behind the Dobbs decision that ultimately overturned Roe versus Wade, forcing their beliefs onto other Americans. Now that Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump stacked the court with these people, they are finally starting to realize their decades-long strategy of pulling America backwards. This is what the Republican Party has become. It is a Christo-fascist movement that will not stop until abortion is banned nationwide, until birth control access is rolled back, until gay marriage is banned again, and the right to privacy is completely curtailed. They want to be in every bedroom, every doctor's office, every classroom. They want to turn America into a country that no longer values freedom for all, but instead guarantees freedom only for those who are exactly like them. And even if after seeing their own actions you still don't believe me, here's Donald Trump confirming it.
My administration will again adopt rock-solid constitutional conservatives to be federal bench justices and judges, but in the mold of Antonin Scalia and Justice Clarence Thomas, who, by the way, right now is under siege by the radical left.
That's Donald Trump saying that if elected again, he will appoint judges in the mold of Clarence Thomas. The same corrupt Clarence Thomas who wrote in his concurring opinion in the Dobbs decision overturning Roe that the Supreme Court, quote, should reconsider all of the court's substantive due process precedents, including Griswold, which legalized birth control access, Lawrence, which ended laws that banned what Americans can do with the privacy of their own bedroom, and Obergefell, which legalized same-sex marriage. Republicans running for president in 2024 are now in a race for the MAGA far right. And if any of them wins the presidency in the next election, they will appoint the youngest, most far-right theocrats possible to the federal courts. And those judges will continue to try to dismantle our freedoms, including freedom from religion and the right to privacy. That's what a Trump judge in Texas just recently did when he halted the FDA's 23-year-old approval of abortion medication in every single state. And it's what they're going to keep trying to do if we keep electing them. What's happening now isn't just an attack on our freedoms, it is a warning of what's next if Republicans ever take power again. Before you go, I need your help. I'm right on the cusp of hitting 2 million subscribers, so please help me grow this channel so the progressive media ecosystem grows by hitting the subscribe button right here on the screen. I also started a Spanish channel so we can finally start regaining some of that lost ground among Spanish speakers, so if you want to help support those efforts, you can hit that subscribe button. And finally, if you listen to podcasts and you want to support mine, you'll find a link to that on the screen as well. Thanks so much for watching.